I took $18,000 and I ran it into $2 million. People talked about where they went, talked about the parties they were at. I thought, I want to see them.
Well, you also hung around with Andy Warhol a lot.
Well, I mean, the first person I interviewed was Donald Trump. You have to be nice to everyone. The worst that could happen is so much worse than you could possibly imagine.
What's the best advice you give to young people today? Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Valoppi. I'm the founder of the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program that works to uplift the lives of at-risk young women in public high schools by teaching life skills and basically pathways out of poverty. I'm also an almost 30-year veteran of television news in New York, Los Angeles, and Miami. And so the Jennifer Valoppi podcast brings it all pretty much full circle for me. Now, I want to make the life-changing content, like the stuff we teach at Women of Tomorrow, available to women of all ages, everywhere, anytime. This show basically exists to share honest conversations and meaningful stories about turning obstacles into opportunity. It's about helping you become the person you've always dreamed of. And it's all about women helping women. Today's guest is Nikki Haskell. So Instagram calls her the OG influencer. The internet says she's an entrepreneur, a producer, and a socialite. I know her as a friend. I know her as a nonstop, never get old, creative businesswoman who constantly reinvents herself, from New York stockbroker to television personality to the queen of Studio 54, exercise guru, and now one of the oldest, but most importantly, one of the coolest influencers on social media. Nikki, we got a lot to unpack in your life.
You had a lot of things there.
Well, that's your life, right? So the concept of what you do now, like on Instagram and TikTok and all of that, is really about if you knew now, if you knew when you were in your 20s what you know now, and you give advice to young people.
Right.
And I see young people everywhere who know who you are, they watch you, they listen to you, and they love your advice. So what's your favorite piece of advice?
Well, the interesting thing is, when I started, I really wasn't planning on giving advice, but I was shocked to find out that the girls today are so misled, are not led at all. They're sort of pushed around. They have no, goals and anything. So when I started doing it, I realized that I was telling them things I didn't realize that they didn't know anything. Surprisingly enough, because I thought that as women today got older and more sophisticated with the internet, this and that, but they didn't. Actually, they became a lot less sophisticated. And it was sort of sad that there are so many women and men, because I had the Nikki Haskell show, which was a huge gay show. So I have a gigantic gay audience. So I always knew that, that they were there. I call it the pink dollar. So I have a huge following in that market. But I was so shocked to find out how not in touch women are with themselves. I think that maybe a lot of the fact that the internet or the, TikTok and Instagram somehow crept into their lives and sort of took over their lives, but not in a good way, but actually in a bad way.
So, you're a super social person. You're always out. You're at every party in LA and New York. I mean, I don't think you've ever missed a party in your life.
Most of them I've thrown.
Well, you've been at, you're everywhere. I see you at every party.
Right.
A lot of young people today are not as social. And maybe that's why.
Well, okay. So and of course, times have changed. There are no clubs. There's no. The 80s was the last age of innocence. Okay, when Studio 54 opened, there were no photographers or no television or no anything. It was just. I mean, they hadn't even invented a fax machine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was really, and people never walked around. I mean, there are pictures that have, come out of Studio 54, but basically, I mean, I'm the only one that shot there. I shot a television show, but when I look back, and I realize that they weren't sophisticated, and now they're less sophisticated. Girls I meet today, I mean, so many girls stop me or call me or write me, and they're it's funny, they have a naive quality that is sort of sad that they don't know anything. I mean, I was born in a time when you had to figure it out yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? There was nothing that was on the internet. There was no internet.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we did, we had to figure it out as we went along.
Right.
Nowadays, things are like right in front of your very eyes, but they don't see them. And then I think that the women, because there's so much of it, the women have gotten very intimidated, and that they've really lost touch with who they are. And I think that a lot of it, I mean, I don't remember being persecuted or harassed by younger women. But today, I mean, I see it all the time.
Where young women are harassing each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you. Do you see that?
Well, I see it at Women of Tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I see it among the high school girls and things like that for sure, bullying and all that stuff.
But maybe don't forget, because I was born in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved to Beverly Hills in the 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Elrodale for 1 year, and I don't remember anybody bullying me, And then when I started high school, I mean, I sort of had a lot of friends, and I had a lot of socialites, and parties and everything happened. I didn't feel intimidated or persecuted, but now you see all these movies about how there's always one girl that's always being tortured, and she always has to pay the price. Maybe there were a lot of them then, and I just didn't realize it. But,
well, I also think when you say you didn't feel intimidated or persecuted, that's because that's not in your nature to be intimidated or persecuted.
But that's not true, because if you're in a situation by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and you've just come to a place, don't forget I came here, I was 13, so all the people that I knew, their friends were already made. They were already friends with people since grammar school and whatever.
Right.
So I came along on top of everything else. Plus my father had just died,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't feel the least bit, upset about it. But today, you hear about so many young girls and young boys that have committed suicide,
Mm-hmm.
that have become so harassed by people. Why would this happen? I mean,
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea.
Do you
I
think
find-
it's social media?
I think it's social media. But I mean, I would think that by now they would have gotten past that. I'm not saying, listen, every day there's always a bully, there's always some bully around that's a pain in the ass. I mean, I never let anybody, I had a different mentality. I was brought up, I was strong, and I was a champion horseback rider. I didn't take no from anyone. I did what I did. And of course, I came into situations new for the first time. And I could see, I don't remember anybody ever trying to intimidate me.
Well,
Maybe they didn't. I just didn't pay any attention.
I think that's probably true. I think that there's half and half, because I do think that bullying has always gone on, and
But not the way it goes now. Now it's gotten very severe. It's like a career.
And it's not necessarily a face-to-face kind of bullying. It's a thing where everybody sort of attacks and pounces from the comfort of their cell phone. But I also think that it's a reflection on the resilience of young people. And I think that you and I grew up in times where we understood what it meant to be resilient. We understood what it meant to be knocked down and have to get up again. And I think that a lot of young people today do not have that level of resilience.
But I think a lot of them have tried. Tried to, the bully, I've seen a lot of these movies with bullies in them and so forth and so on. But the reality is that, I mean, you're just a little kid. you know, and some kid pushes you around. I mean, I can't imagine how being intimidated by this group, but I think that's what's happened is become much more direct. I think that they go through groups of people and pick out people that they don't like or people that they're going to punish, and then girls get together. I mean, I don't remember any of that. And I look at these groups, and I think when I started my TikTok and Instagram, I thought, well, I'm going to give my opinion. Like, I mean, it's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. It's just how I feel about different situations.
Sure.
And I don't let anybody push me around. And I don't let anybody talk down to me. And you want to know the greatest thing in life is for people to be afraid of you. Because if they're not afraid of you, they will push you around. For some reason, they were always afraid of me. I was a champion horseback rider, and that gave me the courage to persist on my life. I mean, I had some really fabulous, terrific times and some terrible times. Really terrible times. But you know what? You just got to be strong, get dressed, and go out and fight. You know, hopefully you can make a couple of friends, maybe one, that'll be supportive of you, because most of them aren't. Most of them are, you know, fair weather friends.
So you started your career as a stockbroker in New York, which is really kind of interesting. And I guess it probably would have been the 1960s, I would imagine. Is that right? So,
And
you know,
of
we
course,
talk about people being sexually harassed today. In the 1960s, you're in an all-male profession, pretty much, right?
I went to school with 1,600 men.
Well, there you go. Okay.
No one ever harassed me.
Business school. Was it business school or?
The New York Institute of Finance.
Okay.
See, what happened was, when I was divorced the first time from my ex-husband, I took $18,000 and I ran it into $2 million by fluke in the stock market. I called my girlfriend's father and asked him to give me the names of the stocks he bought his daughter. He was a very famous film producer. He produced, you know, he produced fabulous movies, you know, and he discovered Elizabeth Taylor, and he did all those movies, and he did, you know, Cat in a Hot Tin Roof and every kind of movie. So he gave me a list of stocks, and I went out and bought 2 shares, 3 shares, 5 shares, 10 shares of this. And it must have been like the day the market bottomed out. Within 6 months, the broker is now calling me saying, what do you like now? You know, everything had like doubled. And a friend of mine came to me because the over-the-counter market had not started. And they said, there's a new company going public called Learjet, and we'll give you shares of Learjet. So I sold everything because everything had just about doubled. Not really. It was about a year. So let's say that I had 25,000, 30,000. I bought Learjet. It went to 185 at $10 a share.
Wow.
It split 3 for 1. Went to 185 again and split 3 for 1. And one day I was reading the Hollywood Reporter, and it said Frank Sinatra and Learjet did a joint venture with Ford Motor Company about the cassettes, the audio cassettes.
Okay.
I sold everything and bought that, and I cashed out at $2 million.
By Ford Motor Company.
Right.
Ah, I see.
No, I bought Learjet.
Oh, but you had Learjet. Okay.
Right, but I bought more Learjet.
Got it.
And then, I mean, I was a terrible student. I mean, I was just going to grow up, get married, live happily ever after. Never had planned on working. And then one day, my ex-husband, he got a little intimidated. He said, why don't you get a job? So I thought, well, maybe I will get a job. My friend of mine's father, who actually from Miami, owned a small brokerage firm in New York. And I went to him and I said, you know, I made $2 million in the market, and I'd like to be a stockbroker. I remember he had a big cigar hanging out of his mouth. He said, okay, baby. He said, we're gonna make you a stockbroker, right? So they said, because, you know, you can't just, I mean, I knew nothing about the market.
Right.
Except I picked all these stocks and people were like calling me. It was like a complete mistake. So I started a school. I mean, I was on the verge of getting a divorce. My ex-husband was completely crazy, and I thought I'm going to start this New York Institute of Finance. And it was way over my head. I hired a tutor with me every day.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to leave my husband, and I studied. And I can't believe that I passed the test the first time. It was unheard of. And I walked away with a big account. A friend of mine, Johnny Refson, his family owned Revlon, and he was married to a girl whose family owned Restaurant Associates. When he married her, they gave her 30,000 shares of stock, and he asked me to sell it. So my first commission was $30,000. I'd never made a penny in my life. The only job I had 2 jobs in my life. One I was a wrapper in men's stores, a gift wrapper.
Okay.
And the other job I had was I worked in a store, my girlfriend's father's store. I mean, had no intentions of working. I was just it was just like to kill time. But then once I started to become a stockbroker, I got very into it, and I was making right decisions all the way along the map. It's wild. I mean, I studied on it, until I knew exactly what I was doing, exactly what I was saying. And in those days, nobody wanted to give a woman an account.
Sure, I'm sure.
Why would a woman had never been a broker before, so if they gave a man, let's say $50,000, they give me $10,000. But once I proved myself, it came on strong, and I was right all along. I mean, I wasn't right all along, but then I decided that I wanted to go to a big firm, and I went to Burnham and Company, and I went to work there. I mean, it never entered my mind that there weren't any women working.
Were there any?
No.
Were there any women doing what you were doing?
5 women in the industry.
5 women in the industry.
Right.
And you were one of them.
Right. But I mean, when you're doing things, you don't really think about it. Actually, there weren't even girls that were secretaries. That's basically, downtown, no stores, I mean, it was really, but I got very lucky because there were a bunch of guys that used to pick me up every morning and drive me down to Wall Street. The whole thing was a dream. And it really worked out great. And I did it for 10 years, and I was very, very successful. And actually, the apartment I live in now is the same apartment I lived in then.
In New York. You live in New York and LA.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't live in LA. I only lived in New York.
In those days. Were you ever sexually harassed?
Never.
Do you think maybe you were, but you just didn't think it was sexual harassment?
Well, I think they were just coming on to me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, actually, they weren't even doing that.
Really?
I mean, no, I was never sexually harassed. I was never... I really led a pretty easy, pretty fun life. And then in those days, Le Club opened.
Okay.
And I was a member of Le Club.
Okay.
And I used to take my dates there. I used to take my boyfriends there. And it was great. I loved it.
Why'd you leave? Why'd you get out of the business?
So after 10 years of being a broker, I had a really bad incident happen. Not to me. I had an account, and I had to testify at White & Case about this transaction that I had made for this man. And they totally screwed me over. They had paid me like $10,000 on a trade I should have made $30,000, $40,000. So I went to the president of the company. He said, "You owe me $30,000. They said, "We're not paying you." I said, "I quit." They said, "Goodbye." That was it.
Really?
I just quit.
Huh.
After 10 years, I was so happy that I quit.
So what did you do next?
So then I took a year off, and Prince Egon von Furstenberg came to me and said, they want me to do this television show, and I want you to be my co-host. So I signed up to do the show, and I went off to the south of France. And when I got to Monte Carlo, he called me and he said, "I'm not going to do the show." I just have no interest in doing it. It's too much work. It was like heartbroken. I thought, oh, wouldn't that have been fun,
Right.
to do the show? And then they called and they said, Aegon decided not to do the show, so we'll make it your show. So that was great. Then they wanted to shoot it in a studio, and I wanted to shoot it at Studio 54. And I wanted to shoot it on location because all my life I'd watched television and people talked about where they went, talked about the parties they were at. I thought, I want to see them. I want to show it. And I was very into fashion, and I started shooting fashion right away. And the show was like nothing anybody had ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of sponsors. And the people that wanted to do the show that I went to work for, they wanted to shoot it in a studio, and I wanted to shoot it on location. So I ended up doing it by myself.
Mm-hmm. Well, you and I were both friends with Ian Schrager, who was Steve Rubell's partner at Studio 54 and the owners of Studio 54.
Right.
And I remember Ian telling me a story many years ago that they had made all this money in cash, and they had this bed covered in cash, and they were jumping on the bed, throwing cash in the air. I mean, it was like a crazy story, but very visual. And you think, those were super heady days. I mean, those were really crazy days at Studio 54. What was like the craziest thing you saw? What was, you were right in the middle of it all the time, every night.
So when Studio 54 first opened, because I was always a disco junkie. I went to clubs from day one. Mm-hmm. I started in California at the Daisy. I mean, and my ex-husband said, the only reason that you married me is because I joined the Daisy. And he was correct. Because I loved going to the Daisy. I was completely addicted to going to clubs.
A dance club.
Yes, it was fabulous. It was the most fabulous club there ever was. And then when I joined the club, and I became addicted to it. I mean, I dated a couple cute guys that I really liked, and they didn't want to go to the club. Bye, see you later.
So, but what was the craziest thing you saw happening at Studio 54? I mean, you must have seen crazy things every day and night.
Well, opening night, Donald and Ivana had just gotten married, Donald Trump. Uh-huh. And we went to Elaine's for dinner. Mm-hmm. And I said, please, let's go to Studio 54. And Donald was never into clubs or anything. And we went really early, like 11 o'clock. Clubs don't even get going till midnight. Mm-hmm. We pulled up in front. There wasn't anybody there knocking on the door. Finally, the guy who was still painting the place opened the door. And we walked in. And there was no music playing. A long entranceway of a theater with big crystal chandeliers. And once it started, it was just, the studio had this energy that was the most extraordinary thing. It actually sucked you in. It owned you. And I just loved going there more than anything.
Well, you also hung around with Andy Warhol a lot, right?
Andy Warhol.
Oh, hi, Nikki. God,
hi, Andy.
This is the best restaurant I've ever been to.
You having a good time so far?
Genie's. God, I really have. Most interesting people. TT.
I had a friend of mine named Richard Wiseman, and Richard had a very fine art collection. And I met I met Basquiat, I met Andy, I met all the artists during that time through this one person. Mm-hmm. And it was an amazing thing. When you're in the middle of doing something, you know that you're doing something that's unusual, but you don't realize how unusual it was. I was always enthralled by Andy Warhol because I painted my whole life. And Andy Warhol, from my earliest paintings, was always prevalent in my paintings. Mm-hmm. And out of all the people that I met, the most important person to me was Andy Warhol. Mm-hmm. And I met him through my friend Richard Wiseman. And I was totally enthralled by Andy Warhol.
Well, Andy did a painting of you.
No, Andy never did a painting of me.
Oh, he did not do you?
No, Andy did a painting that he gave me, but not of me.
Okay.
Andy was getting $25,000 for his portraits. In those days, I didn't have $25,000. But no, he didn't do a portrait of me. But every birthday of mine, he gave me a painting that he painted. But he never did a portrait of me.
And then you actually have also done artwork, and you sold like the NFTs on some of your artwork, right?
Oh yeah, but that was much later. But
you always loved art. Is the point?
From day one, I always loved art. But Andy was, I was so enthralled by Andy.
So who were the people that you mostly hung out with at Studio 54? Like the famous Bianca Jagger was always like one of the staples that we used to see, or
a lot of people.
Calvin Klein.
A lot of people. Calvin was there a lot.
Halston.
Right. They came in and they went out. They were there for parties. They threw parties there.
Right.
It was a very event. And during that time, there was a lot of parties given that weren't at Studio 54. And were at different clubs. I was such a club person, and I always loved the clubs, and I always loved the people that went there. Like the other night, I saw Liza Minnelli. You know, Liza.
We sat with her at the same table.
Right, Liza was my friend for many, many years. You know, she was married to Peter Allen, and I think the song "Once Before I Go" he actually wrote for her.
Ah, okay.
You know, and then it was like a hint that Judy Garland wanted to marry him. So they had a little tough there. Then she broke up with him, but it was just it was like the club Studio 54.
I mean, there'll never be another time like it.
There'll never be another time like it. And it was very interesting because New York was on the balls of its ass. Politically, had terrible problems, garbage all over the place. And when Studio 54 came in, it changed the whole environment. People would call me from Europe and say, "Darling, I'm coming to New York. Can we go to Studio 54? Well, first we'll go to Le Cirque for dinner, and then we'll go to..." And Studio turned the economy of New York around. And then Ian Schrager went on television one time with Steve Rebell. And Steve Rebell said, "Oh, we have ceilings that are filled with bags of money." So the IRS went over there, and they went up there, and there were bags of money in the ceiling.
Right.
And the books had cocaine in it.
Right.
And that was the end of Studio 54.
Well, I know, certainly Studio 54 was known for, the drug use that went on there and everything else. And I know you are not a drug person, never have been.
No, but there's a great famous picture of me. I was standing at Studio, and it's a big picture. I'm sort of like this. And underneath it says, "I never saw anyone doing drugs at Studio 54. And underneath my right arm, there were two guys with Coke spoons.
Oh. That's funny.
Yeah.
So
I never did drugs. And then when, of course, all I wanted to do is to shoot my television show from there.
Right.
And the fact that Steve Rebell was, and you know how, it's so interesting. People, let's wait. We'll wait. Now is now. There is no waiting. There is no time as of the. You've got to do it that minute. So I started doing it. And the studio only stayed open 42 weeks. It's nothing.
Right.
So you have to seize
that was
the moment.
Really? 42 weeks?
Can you imagine?
So that's less than a year.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's
more
crazy.
Than a year. 30.
No, 52 weeks in a year.
It was open 42. Whatever it was.
Something like that.
Whatever it was,
anyway.
It wasn't open long enough.
Right. It was only open a short period of time
very,
before
very
they closed
short
it
period
down.
Of time because the police closed it.
Right. Then various iterations of it opened over the years.
And
but
2 years later,
never...
Mark Fleischman came in and opened Studio 54. But, it's hard to reheat the souffle.
Yeah.
Because it was so, it was, people used to say, "Where do you live?" I said, "Well, I live at Studio 54, but I keep an apartment on 68th Street." I was like, I couldn't wait to go to Studio 54.
So what was your next venture after that?
After the Nikki Haskell
After
show?
the Nikki Haskell show? Because the Nikki Haskell show, how long did it run for?
5.5, 6 years.
5.5. Okay, because I remember you and I met at Le Club in the early '90s.
Did we really? In
Yeah,
the 90s?
I think we met in the early '90s at Le Club, and but your show was already off the air at that point because I
My
was
show
doing
is off the
television
air,
in
but
New
I
York.
also gave a lot of parties.
Okay.
Because from the day one, the way the show got on the air, the clubs paid me $5,000 a week, and I would throw the parties and shoot the parties.
Right.
And I continued to do that.
Uh-huh.
So that just happened.
Let's talk about your marriages to the same guy twice. Okay. Was he a childhood sweetheart? How did that happen?
You know, he was never a sweetheart. I actually didn't like him. But my mother wanted me to get married because all of my girlfriends, when we got out of high school, they all got married. And I was really in love with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him that I was in love with this man because I figured that he would come back and say, "Oh, no, you'll marry me." And he said, "That's good. I'm glad you like somebody else." And he dumped me. And I married him by mistake.
Okay.
And I was only married for a year and a half. I caught him cheating on me. And a girlfriend of mine called me and said he was at the luau. And I went to the luau, and I double slapped this girl in the face. And I took the whole table and turned it over on him. And I divorced him. And then I was divorced for 2 years. And I started dating someone else that I really liked that dumped me. So I went back and married Jack.
Okay.
Which I shouldn't have done. I was never in love with him.
And how long did that last for the second time?
11 months. But even though it seemed like forever, but what it did was it got me to New York. Because I was living in L.A. We moved to New York. And that's when I started becoming a stockbroker. And that totally changed my life. It was only an 11-month period of time, but I was very, very, very determined. Once I got my license, it was like I could never have done it. It really, I wasn't supposed to be married to Jack, but it turned the tide, and because of the fact that I went to school, I learned how to become a broker. It takes 6 months. But then you have to trade for another. So it was a year. And I got divorced.
How old were you when you got divorced the second time?
Oh, I was very young.
Like 20-something?
Yeah.
So I know you could have remarried. You had lots of guys that were after you over the years. Why is it you never remarried?
I don't know why I never remarried. There wasn't anybody I was in love with.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it this way. I don't think anybody was in love with me.
I don't know if there was anybody who could keep up with you.
I think they could keep up with me. But, once I started the TV show, that was the best part of my life. Because we went all over the world. Pan Am was my sponsor, and they gave me tickets to go everywhere. And Warren Cowan gave me hotel rooms and put me with all the dictators. I was with
Ferdinand Marcos, I remember, right? Weren't you?
Well, I was with Madame Marcos, and that he sent me the first time to the Philippines, and I went to the Philippines twice. And then he said there was another dictator.
And her crazy shoe collection.
Yeah, but she really didn't have that bad a shoe collection. The reason that she got the name was because she started the shoe industry in the Philippines.
Ah.
So people gave her shoes.
Right.
So she had storerooms filled with but she did have designer. She had 300 pairs of, let's say, designer shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have 300 pairs. So do you. So it wasn't, they made a big deal out of it.
Wasn't that big of a deal?
Yeah,
right.
It really wasn't. But she also had a lot of paintings stashed away. And then she came to the United States, and Adnan Khashoggi was her partner in crime, and he was living at the Olympic Tower, and they spent a whole year here, sort of on trial. That was fun. We had a lot and Madame Marcos had a great house there.
Who else were the most interesting people that you interviewed?
Well, I mean, the first person I interviewed was Donald Trump.
I want you to meet the one and only Donald Trump.
Hello, Nikki.
Hi, darling. How are you?
How are you? Beautiful evening.
I know that you're going to be opening the Trump Towers very soon with all the spectacular shops there. Why don't we tell everybody who's going to be there?
Well, we have mostly, I guess we can say we have the finest shops in the world, Nikki. We have Cartier and Harry Winston and Lina Lee and Asprey and Charles Jourdan and just really fabulous. Lorvet, Buccellati.
Asprey.
So many of them. It's wonderful. We look forward to
The
opening.
Trump Towers is the only address in New York. You know that.
Well, I hope that's right, Nikki. I guess unfortunately it's not, but I hope that's right.
And you're still friends with Donald Trump today.
I'm still friends with Donald Trump.
You've been invited to all of his private inaugural parties.
Right.
You've been invited to family things that
and
he
I love
does.
the children.
Mm-hmm.
I was there when all the children were born and married. I went to all the weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and Ivana, his wife, his ex-wife, was a great friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And, I like the whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
I like Melania.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a great guy. And, it's a different time. When I met him, he actually said he wanted to run for president, but nobody ever believed him. It was like, oh yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
He was a businessman, but the reality was the world needed a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's doing a great job.
Mm-hmm. And you used to hang out with Ivana Trump in the south of France a lot, right? You used to go visit her in the south of France?
So they got divorced. When they got divorced, Ivana bought a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And they delivered the boat, and we were on the boat every summer for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll never forget, there was somehow it happened in Palm Beach. There was some kind of a huge storm, and we were watching it on television, and we saw her boat, which was in Palm Beach. It broke off the mooring. We went, oh my God, look at it. And we were watching it on television. We watched the boat go up the waterway, and it smashed into like 10 different boats.
Mm-hmm.
And the captain jumped off the boat, right? I'll never forget that. So she took the boat and she turned it. It cost $2 million to have fixed, and she sold it.
Huh.
But that was great.
Celebrity friends. You have, I think if I go to Netflix or Hulu or any one of the streaming services, you must be on anywhere from 5 to 10 documentaries on other celebrities,
I'm on lots
all the time,
and
right?
I've got a big documentary coming out. CNN. Actually, I wonder where it happened to it. We shot it last April,
Okay.
and they didn't do anything with it yet.
Okay.
It's a documentary on the 80s.
Okay.
They said it was going to come out this April. Took them a long time.
Mm-hmm. Who are some of the people that you knew really well, or you still know really well today, that are some of your favorite famous friends? Because you have so many.
It's really sort of, I can't even really sort of, I just seem to know everybody.
You do. I met Clive Davis because of you,
Clive
for example.
Davis.
He's one of your best friends.
He's one of my dearest friends.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a star. He's a personality.
Mm-hmm. Well, Donald Trump is not a star, but he is a star in so many ways. But he's been one of your closest friends for, 40 years now or something like that, right?
And Robert Wagner was one of my
Yeah.
one of my closest friends.
RJ, he was amazing. Do you see him anymore? He's usually in Aspen, no?
I used to see him all the time. I don't see him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He was adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Jill St. John, who he's married to.
Yeah.
I've known her since I'm 13 years old.
Yeah.
Most of these people I know a long time.
Yeah.
Robert Evans, I knew him forever.
Right.
Like the other night, I knew Paul Anka and Tony Bennett, and it's so funny. People say, "Oh, what about someone?" Says, "Oh, yes, he's one of my best friends." What do you mean he's your best friend? You've got so many best friends.
And we both knew Frank Sinatra. I mean, there's, the list goes on and on. But, it's interesting because I think today there's so many young people who are trying to get into like the celebrity flow of
You think
things.
the way it was?
No, I mean, they're trying to get like a lot of the influencers who are trying to get into the celebrity groups or hang out with important people or something like that. I think you always did it effortlessly.
I think one of the most important celebrities that I know is Kathy Hilton and Nikki Hilton in Paris.
Okay. We saw them last weekend also.
They get right around in there. Mm-hmm. But when I walk into a place, there's usually, I hate to say it, most of my I know forever.
No, but I think what I'm getting at though also is that there's so many people nowadays, it seems like, that are trying to break into elite circles, for example. What do you think is the biggest mistake that they make?
Honey, there are so many mistakes. But I think it's harder today. You got to have a movie. You got to have a hit movie. People aren't interested in you if you go to Craig's for dinner. Mm-hmm. You've got to, especially when you're in California, you've got to have a movie.
But movies aren't what they used to be either. Everybody's on, the internet now. And all the big movie stars, nobody goes to the theater anymore. So they're all doing, streaming services. They're all on Netflix or Apple TV or Hulu or something like that.
The whole world has changed.
The whole dynamic of celebrity has changed.
The world used to work on the celebrity kick. People would go out, you go to dinner, this one was there and that. It's not that way anymore. Mm-hmm. They're not that, they're sort of happy to be alone and have dinner for two or whatever.
And there's also no one managing them like it used to be. There's no studio managing the celebrity careers, which makes a big difference.
Which is a problem.
Right? What do you think of all these young celebrities, or not always young celebrities, but a lot of the celebrities coming out and taking up political causes? What do you think about that when they'll go on a big award show and they'll start talking politics? Well, how does that strike you?
That's always a mistake. Mm-hmm. They should stay out of politics. Mm-hmm. All it does is make them look stupid. Mm-hmm. If you're in the movie business, you're in the movie business. And that's who you are. These people that step out of the movie business and go into politics always end up as a jerk.
Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like the old saying that nobody pays you to talk about politics. People are paying you to sing or to perform or to act or something like that. So yeah, it's a whole different thing. So do you have a favorite interview?
So I had some. Well, I would see when I started. Like one of my favorite. I loved Tony Curtis, so I loved to interview Tony Curtis. It was always fun to interview. And my Robert Wagner, I did him at the polo matches. Mm-hmm. And Bob Evans was just fabulous. Mm-hmm. And Andy Warhol. I mean, I have a great interview with Andy Warhol because he's hard to interview. You talk to him and he answers everything exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. But when I looked at it, it looked really great. Actually, that interview made it into a couple of documentaries. And it's you have to have a certain connection with people, and interviewing them, if they're famous, you're just asking them a lot of questions, but you're not getting personal with them. Mm-hmm. You're not getting... I interviewed a couple of people I didn't even know who they were. I interviewed the wrong people. Can you imagine?
What do you mean you didn't know? I don't know what you mean.
I thought it was somebody else, and I interviewed the person as somebody else.
Oh. Were they anybody you wanted to interview or no?
Yeah, but it was the wrong person.
Oh, okay.
And the guy looked at me like, "What are you? I'm saying, why aren't you talking to me?" I had him mixed up with somebody else.
Okay.
I was at a big charity event, and there were so many people, and don't forget and I never knew who I was going to interview, but there was someone that I interviewed that I thought was one person. and it was somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I interviewed everybody.
What's the best advice you give to young people today, to young women in particular who are your fans on social media?
You know, you always have to be perseverant. Always overdress, look gorgeous, stop complaining, fix your hair, and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have fun. I mean, you complain to people, they don't want to hear about it.
Uh-huh.
You say, well, I should do this, I should do it. Just do it. I never really even talked about what I was going to do. I just did it.
Uh-huh. And what do you see, and what about love advice? What kind of love life advice do you give to young women?
Actually, I give a little bit different love advice now than I used to give. I used to give, if you find your husband cheating on you, divorce him.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm not giving that advice anymore because you're not going to find him again. And sometimes you just have to look at it as a mistake. And
Really? I'm surprised to hear you say that.
yeah, because I think that you get yourself into more trouble by getting divorced. And especially when you're really rich and really famous, the wives don't even get divorced. They just, you know the joke. If husband and wife go out for lunch, and he goes, you see that man over there? He says, I want a divorce. She says, well, you see that man over there? He's with his mistress. She said, I'd rather be with our mistress. You know?
Okay. So that seems
think
like such an old school way of thinking for such a vibrant young person as yourself.
I've gotten to be more conservative
Okay.
because a lot of people, for little things that happen. No, wait, listen, you know, everything is problematic.
Okay.
I mean, if you catch your husband, if I caught my husband in bed with somebody, he would say there's nobody in bed with him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, if your husband's very rich and very powerful, and they say, you know, honey, if you divorce me, you lose the boat, you know, you lose the plane, you know, you lose the house, you know, and then you say, I like our mistress much better.
So you take it so you take it for the plane and the house and the boat, and
Right.
you put up with that.
Otherwise you end up saying, you know who I used to be? Because you're not that person anymore.
Well, you could always become that person again.
Very rarely.
Do you regret divorcing your husband?
No, my husband was a loser.
Okay.
But if he was a heavy hitter, I would have made a big mistake.
So get rid of the losers, but
Get rid of the losers.
keep the other loser
if
boys
you're
that are
with- but if
cheating
you're
on
with-
you if they're wealthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I don't
you have
know,
chil-
Nikki.
and you have-
I don't know, Nikki. This
and you have
doesn't sound
children
like
with
you.
them.
Okay.
No. I think that I several girlfriends of mine. They went on a trip to Paris, and the husband had a little walk on with someone,
Okay.
and she divorced this man because you know he never saw the other woman again, and she had the most terrible life forever. She should have hung right in there.
Well, people get divorced sometimes and they have to reinvent themselves, such as you did when you got divorced the first time and you became a stockbroker.
Right, but that was a different deal. My ex-husband was a jerk to begin with.
Okay.
But I mean, sometimes you marry like the right person, and the guy makes a mistake.
Okay.
You know, like John Getty. She woke up one morning and found out that he had a second family. Come right this way. We'll bring the second family right in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
But that was a long time ago.
Well, it was 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. She ended up dying. But, you know, she found out that he had another family, another wife, other children. And then the other girl just sort of became part of the family.
I don't think I could survive that. I don't know. I don't think I could deal with that. Do you regret not getting married again?
I never found anybody it's not like I didn't get married and I found somebody and I didn't marry. I never found anybody that I wanted to marry.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Your standards are too high?
I think my standards are too low. I think I just have terrible taste.
In men?
Yeah. I don't have such great taste in men.
Because you have good taste in a lot of other things.
But, I mean, during a period of time, at the beginning, I had really great taste. But then after the Studio 54 opened, it went downhill, I mean, I would love to have found someone that was the right person, the right person. You don't necessarily have to have children with them, but you could be with them and share a life. And I think that would be great. I don't think I ever found anybody that was right to begin with. I never really fell madly in love with anyone.
But let's talk about your greatest accomplishment. What do you think your greatest accomplishment thus far in your life has been?
I think my greatest accomplishment was my television show.
Mm-hmm.
That I started with nothing and I created an entire industry. And I'm going to do it again because I'm going to have the opportunity now, because a new friend of mine, actually an old friend of mine, is going to come back with a new concept, and it's going to be more. It's not just going to be little videos. It's going to be more television shows and more movies and more things I think I could do a lot better with.
And your show ran for 5 years, you said? That was...
And it runs now. Actually, it's going back on Hulu. And we found 10 shows that haven't even been edited.
And you were all over the world for that show.
All over the world.
Yeah.
The greatest.
Yeah.
Had the best time ever.
So what's your biggest regret in life?
My biggest regret.
Anything you would do over?
Like what, for instance?
I don't know, anything.
Like remarry somebody again? Or
or not remarry somebody again?
I don't think I have any big regrets.
Okay. That's a good attitude. That's a good way to live your life.
I love everything I've done. Every mistake I've made, they sort of played itself out. I've never been in a position where I was madly in love with someone, or they were madly in love. I don't think anybody was ever in love with me.
So maybe that's a regret?
Yeah, but what can you do about it? I don't think anyone was ever in love with me.
But when you look at your life and you look at young people today, what's your biggest advice to them?
Because I think I'm always so, when I see younger generation of people that fall in love with each other, is unique because it doesn't really happen anymore. Men are afraid to get involved. Women are afraid to get there's so many problems that are occurring that never happened when I was younger.
Well, I think people were always kind of afraid to get involved, and that's I think there were a lot of problems,
worse now
over the years. It may be worse now because I think people aren't socialized as well as they used to be.
Right.
People don't know how to don't know how to socialize like they used to because they do everything on the internet, especially for young people. They don't have the same skills. And then the whole COVID thing, when that happened and people started working from home and you're not working in the office anymore, and and you can't date people that you work with, but yet most people used to, find their boyfriend or girlfriend in the office at work.
One of the things I find problematic, so many women come to me and ask me, how do I meet someone? The only way you can do it is on the internet.
Or in a bar.
Where?
Or in a bar. Or a restaurant.
I don't think women do that anymore.
Or be introduced by someone else.
That's the best way. Someone else should introduce you, but it doesn't happen as much as you think.
Yeah.
So what's happening now, I mean, how many people do you know that meet somebody on the internet?
I mean, I know one person that got married from someone she met on the internet, and they're actually still happily married. I know a few people that have gotten together from that, but I also know and hear from a lot of young people that are sick and tired of meeting people on the internet.
I have such terrible taste. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how bad they were.
Yeah.
So I don't even try it anymore. Because I thought, look I'm 85 years old. I'm not looking for somebody that's 85. I'm looking for somebody that's 65. But they're not looking for me. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to go with the flow.
Well, very few people can keep up with you, Nikki.
But that's nothing to do with it. I mean, people can keep up with you all the time if they want to.
That's true. Well said.
They
Well
say,
said.
"Oh, I can't keep up with you." It's a cop out.
Do you think all of your professional accomplishments actually played a strong role in your personal relationships? Like maybe, you never really hooked up with somebody that you fell in love with or that they fell in love with you
I think
because
it
you were always working and so successful.
Yeah, but I think it would have been a great advantage for me to be involved with somebody where I was involved in a lot of different things. I just never met anybody.
Uh-huh.
I've never met anybody in 20 years.
Mm-hmm. How many companies have you had over the years?
Oh, lots of them.
You were a fitness guru, an exercise person for a while there. I know you did that. Obviously the television industry.
Yeah, but, it's funny because I have my Labubu. They said, "Why don't you come out with like a Labubu, like a Nikki Labubu?"
Oh,
But you know what? It's great when you're 20. I'm not going into business.
uh-huh.
I wouldn't mind representing a product that somebody else has. That's what I do.
Uh-huh.
I'm a person that gets in there and pushes other people's products
Mm-hmm.
much better.
Right.
I don't need to come up with any of my own products.
Anymore.
I did that. Well, I did a lot of it. I wrote books and I did deals and painted paintings and everything. I want your products. I'll promote your products. Somebody came to me the other day about promoting their airplanes. I'm ready. I'd like that.
I have one of your books here. I've had your Star Cruncher. I had,
You're stuck with all my stuff.
all
right?
kinds of stuff, all kinds of goodies from you, which is great.
But it's good. I think that life is an advantage. I think that you should do as many things, come up with as great ideas as you have. Some are good, some aren't good.
Right.
But I'm glad I tried everything.
I mean, it's kind of crazy that at your age, you're like this famous person on the internet, on Instagram and,
Right.
Hulu and all that
I have
stuff.
1 million followers.
That's
Big
amazing.
Nick BH.
Yeah. That's incredible. Who would have ever thought that was going to happen?
You
Things
never know.
fall from the sky.
That's it. That's why you have to always be overdressed.
There you go.
You never know
For
what's
sure.
going to happen.
You never know when you're going to get invited to the next event.
That's it. You got to be overdressed at all times.
So that's interesting because you have such an amazing story. So, and I really do believe that your story will be told for many, many, many years to come. So when people are telling your story years from now, what is it that you want them to know? What is it that you want them to know about you? And
I think it's so important to be perseverant. Not everything works. Big dreamers come up with great ideas. I'm going to go back into the entertainment industry. Probably next month, I'm going to be a director of a big company, and I'm going to be producing movies, and I'm going to be producing Instagrams and TikToks and shorter versions, and now they're doing whatever they're doing, I'll do it. I like the fact that I'm flexible and that I'm talented and that I can do most things.
uh-huh.
I'm not a great tennis player, and I'm not going to climb the highest mountain. The thing that I do the best is make reservations.
Oh, there you go. But what do you want to be remembered for the most? What do you want people to think of 20 years from now when they're talking about Nikki Haskell? What do you want them to say?
That I was always a front runner, that I always dressed well, I always led the pack. People always follow me. I always do what I tell them to do. Not physically do what I tell them to do, but follow my lead. I don't think enough people out there are intelligent enough to get the hint and know how to get things together. You're one of the few that do, but that's why we're such good friends. Most people are stupid.
If
Don't
you're
you
not
hate that?
if you're not the lead dog, the view never changes, right? The sled dog saying.
I'm a lot more careful than I used to be, because I used to get involved with people and say, "What's the worst that can happen?" The worst that can happen is so much worse than you can possibly imagine. I have no interest. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm working on a big project. I think it's going to be probably the biggest project I've ever worked on, and which is going to be great because you have to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be well educated. You have to know what's going on in this world. And if you want to act, you've got to be an actor. Actually, I'm supposed to be in a couple movies.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's so fun.
Well, so let's see what happens.
That would be exciting
I'll
to
let
see.
you know when I'm on the set.
Okay. So, you're never going to slow down.
No, I don't have to slow down.
Why would you?
It's boring. I mean, I hate staying home more than anything in the whole world.
I know.
To me, it's like a punishment.
I know. Well, and you also get invited everywhere. So not
get
everybody
invited
gets invited everywhere.
I get invited everywhere, and unfortunately, I have always entertained more times than not. And hopefully, this new era that I'm getting involved in could be terrible. It may not work at all. I'm very optimistic. I think it's going to be big. I think I got one big last chance to sock it to them.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I've sat with Nikki with famous people in restaurants or, wherever we were at events, and people will make a beeline for you, with really famous people, and they'll ignore the other people and they'll go right for you and start talking to you. And I think
I'm a celebrity magnet.
You are a celebrity magnet.
I am.
You are a celebrity magnet, and everybody knows Nikki.
Everybody knows Nikki and knows that Nikki's really fun to be with.
There you go.
Yeah, but
So true.
But you have to really. I think it's so important in life to make people that you know like you. I mean, it's like the other day I was having a conversation. Okay, so when The Sopranos went on the air, that night I was in Elaine's restaurant. And all the Sopranos are going, "Hey, Nikki, how are you? I'm so glad to see you, Nikki," and everything. And then one night they won. They were nominated for the best series. And I went to Spago's, and I took my friend Dennis Basso, and he wanted to meet James Gandolfini. And there's James Gandolfini with his Emmy in his hand, and he said, "We've come a long way since I was your doorman." He was my doorman at this club that he used to work. He said, "You were the only one that was always nice to me, that always took care of me, that always bought us drinks. You have to be nice to everyone. You never know where people are going to end up."
Yeah.
I was shocked. And also, I can't tell you how many people started with nothing that I knew back there. But, I mean, James Gandolfini was my doorman at a club called Private Eyes.
That's crazy.
You never know. You have to make a concerted effort to be a nice person. It's important to me to be nice to people.
So true. I remember when I first got into television, someone told me, always be nice to everyone on your way up because you never know when you're going to run into them on your way down.
Don't you hate that? What a pain in the ass when you're not nice to somebody and they become famous. But, oh, how did I that up? So I'm nice to everybody.
Exactly. You never know. I agree.
And that's why over the years I've made so many friends, because I was friendly with people that weren't even that popular then, that are now heads of studios.
Right.
That now, are married to somebody that's fabulous.
Right.
And, you're not I have girlfriends of mine that were just girls. Not that there's anything wrong. And I went out of my way to take care of them and out of my way to make sure that they were happy. And they're married to billionaires, and they love me. They couldn't be happier to see me. You never know what's going to go on. You've got to be polite. But more than that, you have to take. You can't love everybody, of course. There are people that are going to screw you over, and I say screw them back. But 90% of the time, people that are nice to you, you have to always be nice to.
Right.
And the other ones, get even with them.
Yeah. If they're not nice, get even.
That's right.
Think about it for a second. So a rule that you have today that you had to learn the hard way. I mean, you've been through a lot of hard stuff in your life. Life has not been easy for you.
Not easy at all.
Despite all the glamour, you're tough.
You have to
because
be tough.
You've had to be. Tell us about that. What does it mean to be tough?
You have to take good days and bad days and treat them the same. You have to look at life and decide, every day can't be perfect. And you've got to make the best out of the worst days. I remember I had a situation happen, And that night, I was out. Actually, I was out for dinner with Clive, and the tears were streaming down my face. But you know what? I made it through it. You just got to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
You
What
can't-
happened? What did it be? What was it? Can
Oh, it
you
was
say?
a problem that I had had. But I'm just saying, people, you just gotta be strong. You just have to. You can't let anybody push you around.
And you have to be resilient. You have to be
You
willing
have to
to
be
come
resilient, but you have to really be nice to people.
back. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't be nice to everybody. I mean, like, there's some people that really don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that when I walk into the room, I can feel the daggers in my back. So why, who cares?
Uh-huh.
They're lucky, they'd be lucky if I were their friend. Because I am a really, really good friend. You don't want to be my friend?
And you're also someone who you really don't care what other people think.
I do care. I want people to think that I'm nice and that I'm kind and that I'm a good dancer and I dress well. I mean, it's not utmost, it's not at the top of the list.
Right.
I mean, but underlining, I'd like for people to presume that I'm, a good person. You can trust me and something like. If you don't, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You are a good person.
There's like the other.
And you
day,
are trustworthy.
I am trustworthy, really. The other day, it's funny. I was invited to somebody's house that had betrayed me, right? And all their friends they didn't like me. Why should I go there? Why should I be around people there's some people that just don't like you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what? They'll get over it if they don't. Too bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that important. Make new friends. Some people
Anything
are
else?
just vicious,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to get even with you no matter what. And you can't try to be nice to somebody that's not going to be nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a pass. I'm very lucky. People are thrilled to be my date, or to be my friend, or be my people to go with me to places, because I get into every place,
Mm-hmm.
and I have great friends that I love and adore.
What does it mean to you to be glamorous?
I think it's the most important thing to be glamorous. I wouldn't be caught in a pair of blue jeans and a pair of sneakers. I think my mother used to tell me that you feel much better and you get along much better if you're overdressed and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I've got on a gorgeous ball gown and my hair is up and I've got a lot of jewelry on, I'm having more fun.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is that you can't count on other people to make you have fun. You have to have fun with yourself. I like myself,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm happy to be me.
I like
And if
you
you
too.
don't want to be my friend, you. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
some
understand.
people, over the years, there's been people that I've tried to be friendly with that actually didn't like me. Who cares? I've had friends of mine that were friends of mine for years.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they decided that they turned on me. So that's it. Not everybody that's a lifelong friend is a good friend.
Is it tough when you get to the stage in life where you see a lot of your very famous friends, some of the people that you've been so close to over the years, they pass away, and it's, I mean, do you take that super hard, or do you take that as part of, it's just the cycle of life?
I take it hard because there are so few people whose friendship meant a lot to me. I'm friendly with a lot of people, but there's some people that meant a lot more and mean a lot more to me now than they did then. Actually, I respect more people now, and I respect the way people treat me. And I want to be a friend to somebody else. You don't want to be my friend? It's okay. Not the end of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky to have me as a friend.
It's true. You're a great friend.
I am.
Great friend to have, and a great lady.
I go out of my way for my friends. If you don't want to be my friend, so what? What's going to happen? What's going to change?
Well, thank you for doing this, Nikki.
Because you're my friend. I love you.
It's good to be here, and it's good to spend time with you and chat about. We've never talked about your ex-husband. That's the first time we've ever talked about your ex-husband.
Not worth it.
There's always so many things to talk about. That's never been anything we talked about.
Another bad choice.
Well, you know, life is choices. They can't all be good.
Some people make a lot of good choices. Some people make a lot of bad choices.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you've done pretty well for yourself.
I don't.
I think you've done pretty well.
No, with men, terrible.
Yeah.
I always figured I could turn them around, put a new coat on them, a new tuxedo, fluff them up, they'll be perfect, and I'm wrong.
So you need to find somebody who's already tuxedo ready.
Right. That's hard to do, by the way. Very, very hard to do.
Yes,
It's
it
easier
is.
to change somebody's tuxedo than you think.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being my friend.
It's great. It's great to be with you. It's great to be with you. I love you.
I love you too.
Let us know one thing from today's episode that resonated with you and send it to us on my social media at Jennifer Valoppi or in the comments, and we'll post and read your responses to hopefully help other women who might have missed it. You can also like and follow Nikki Haskell and send some comments to her. Every
Big Nick
episode.
BH.
Oh, there we go. Big Nick BH. Every episode is going to end with a micro action, something simple that you can do now to improve your life and help move yourself forward. Today's micro action is to not sweat the small stuff. Life is filled with big decisions and sometimes major crises as well. If that's not what's happening now, just relax. And remember that every step you take takes you one step closer to your future.
Yay.
And finally, we support the Women of Tomorrow Mentor and Scholarship Program and the thousands of young women who are served through mentorship, education, and access to all kinds of opportunities. So if this conversation inspired you at all, which I think it did, it inspired me.
Inspired me. I had a great time doing it.
There you go. Please subscribe. Follow me on social media at Jennifer Valoppi. Learn more about Women of Tomorrow at womenoftomorrow.org. Your donation can help us change the world one young woman at a time. And don't forget to follow Big Nick BH, right? On
Right. Big Nick
Instagram,
BH.
Hulu, all over social media. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.